They're saying I'm a lot like that Billy Ray Cyrus out in Tennessee. And that's how he was. I remember hearing about Billy Ray. I mean, I was down in Tennessee in Linden, and it was like you'd hear about him. He was all Tennessee, everything, Mr. Tennessee. But did I ever see Billy Ray? No, I didn't. I just got that achy breaky heart. I used to hear about him, but I heard he was off in LA, or I'd hear he was at his house, big house somewhere in Tennessee where I couldn't get to, and where not many others would get to either. And who knows if he was in Tennessee then or if he was leaving tomorrow. And well, there he is now, and here he is today. And you'd hear about Miley, and they were untouchable. And at the time, I remember Miley and him were out in Los Angeles. That's when they did their that party in the USA. And I said, "Who is this Billy Ray?" You know, because he didn't have much out, and I think he had that achy breaky heart. Because I was like, it's all about Miley. But then they were like something about Billy Ray and Miley are really close about their family, money, and all that. I think is what they said. And what have you was their perspective on things because they notified me on that because I was like, hey, I wouldn't mind meeting Miley Cyrus and all that. But you know, those American the celebrities, they always had this gimmick, like they were just a little bit cleaner than any other, especially when you're a kid. They have this thing that they do to you where they make you feel like they're way better, higher up than you, and all that. When they're really not, they're just as wealthy as you. Your dad just fell for it, and hey, your Lamborghini would have been on the property, But unfortunately, Nikki robbed my dad, John, and all that. And it's just, but that's who it is. But I've made money that I could buy a Lamborghini and all that. And believe it or not, I used to live in Little Linden, Tennessee. But Tom's got a lot more time to live. I just laughed internally when somebody said, who, StacksAMilli? He ate his fucking Ferrari. He ate that thing. You could see it. Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm still young. I just got signed to another couple deals. They're saying, Tom, your Lamborghini's on its way in the next 25 years, 50 years for those achy, breaky hearts. When the wrecking ball finally hits, I mean, they were celebrating they've been celebrating since goddamn 2005. That's when they hit the lick on my father and they gave him some cockroach infested piece of wood for hundreds of thousands of dollars. They said, here you go, John Slote in Canada. Have cockroach infested wood for a couple $100,000. Here you go. And live in it. And then we're going to teach you about all the shit we hate in America. And you're going to pay for it so that we can make our America better and kill you. And my dad just ate the cockroaches and they've let him be the guy that eats cockroaches. And that's who my dad is in America. And there's Nikki. And my dad and Nikki look like two goddamn cockroaches now I think about it. Actually, a lot of those Americans look a lot like cockroaches because they say they eat a lot of them and all that. Hey, it's just my perspective. I've seen the cockroaches. They even have cockroaches in Toronto. I've seen them in Brampton. My auntie, she's friends with them. But I haven't seen any cockroaches in my area. But I haven't seen any in my area. We got rodents though, like crazy. It's either rodents or cockroaches, they're saying. Rodents or cockroaches. Before they die, because, man, their personalities are they're out of it. They say cockroaches can even survive nuclear disaster. Why is you dying? Because everybody dies. Take it as you want it. Everybody dies one day. Oh, how about this fucking thing, eh? This one makes me really mad. I think people have done this. Okay, I think people were so jealous of Canada and the United States, they went and bought a lot of mice and rats and they released them. They because our immigration policy is so open, they just go to the pet store and buy them and then they say, "Here you go." And then because of our politics are all screwed up when it comes to our anti-pest control, because Islamic people they don't agree with pest control. Christianity people or whatever, it was a big thing for us to do pest control. So because we've let a lot of the Islamic people in, they don't do pest control. They believe everything should be open, like Iraq, like open. They had these. They were like open castles, but they weren't castles. They have a specific name. They're all open, and the rats run around and all that. So it all changed over here in America, and we got Joe Biden. He says Islamophobia, but I'm saying like we have a really bad pest problem, and it's a good time that Canada, the United States, and all that we start killing our pests and all that. It's not. I never agree that everything should be open because guess what? Hey, it's not good, my friend. You're taking advantage of the. You're taking advantage of the ones, you know. This is what Brampton looks a lot like almost, but it's not. I really would like to see something like this really get buffed up and become something like real, you know what I mean? Kind of like that Atlantis. Well, no, they say Dubai is like that, but Dubai is not like this. I guess Egypt or whatever. Well, I guess this is the place, you know. Look at this. There's a mosque over here or something. And this is what our humans came up with, you know, these big brick buildings and things. And I remember learning about these big blocks that the slaves used to carry. Slavery is a real thing, and it's to this day. Even I am a slave, and I learned that before, and I didn't understand it till now that I am a legal slave. Everybody is, and if you're not, you're going to learn quick that you are. Slavery, Egypt. Yeah, we learned about Egyptian slavery. But then, after you learn about all the world's slaveries, you start to realize, oh my God, you may also be a slave. Like I had heard, like we're the monarch to the United Kingdom and all that, but I had no idea that we were still being enslaved until I found out about the rodental enslaving. Rodents. Yes. Until I started to learn about these rodents and how they use them to punish and how they them to control and how they're using them to enslave people. But it's not just the metal container on the stomach. That's what everybody thought it was the metal container on the stomach. They're doing this one a lot. Oh, they're doing this one a lot where they get the rodents and they all fucking go all over you and they're invisible. They got somehow they made the rodents invisible. See, they're all with those magical powers and the World of Warcraft shit and all that, but somehow they did it in real life too. They're able to make shit invisible in real life. All the hacks and all that they used to have for the video games and whatever, they got them for real life too. It's like this real life freaking game thing or whatever. It's dead serious too. I mean, look at this. And at first, when you have money, you you don't. It goes back to that personal security thing. Yeah, some people use their money differently. They're living in a whole different world than you. Like it's the same world, but their day to day life is like that. And that always shocked me. But all I can do is keep making money. Actually, they say that's why we respect our farmers and all that. But yeah, you don't want to make your farmers angry or nothing. That's why I always make sure to go to my grocery store and all that, for certain things and all that. Because they got these equipments and all that. And the cows can't bring the money home themselves to pay the cash for their for everything that they need, like their house and their. And a lot of people fall into this perspective, like they are like deserving of it, and you can't do that though. And that's what happened with that Phil Teeswater. He thought it was like he was born in this world and everything was supposed to be given to him, and if it went bad, then all he had to do was kill a man and take it and he'd be back on top again. But that changed way back in the 1970s and whatnot when they created this Federal Bureau of Investigation and the FBI and the U.S. Army and all the other armies. It used to be very mafioso altogether like that, when a man got hungry, he went out and ate food, like he just wiped people out. It like nowadays they call that a mass shooting and all that. It's changed like the mafia shootings, like when the man would go out and they would Tommy gun the whole neighborhood or whatever. Those times were supposed to have changed, but it happens every once in a while. I even seen videos, and thank God we got ones that deal with it. And that's the thing. I got close to the ones that deal with it because I sort of work in the industry, but I never had to deal with it like a lot of them do. And I like that position. I really like that position for a lot of years, being that just that normal person that watched the news. But then you start to get closer and closer to it. And you start to realize, Tommy, this is real life when it comes to. I live in such a one of these little YouTubey, vloggy, kitty, mukbangy worlds. And it's maybe some of the stuff. Well, that's the thing. You got to watch what you buy, eh? If you got money to buy it, because you gotta, I don't know, it's all demeanor. You gotta watch. Some other guy might like the suit, or they like the ring, or they like the this. And so you know what? It's not the only thing. I have to put my job is I have to put a lot of money behind legal defense, like this video. This video is something that will keep me safe. It's one of my legal defenses. It showcases my character that I'm a video producer, that I'm not out there doing any harm or any violence. I don't make money by putting a mask on and aiming a gun. So what that does is that puts a lot of soldiers behind me and all that. So then I have soldiers and all that to protect our values, the values of the American, Canadian. It's more than just the American people, it's the world. That was a thing in America. It was like we had our American values, and then the world was also supposed to share our American values. But not to that point, because one of our American values is to be able to be private in your own values. It didn't matter what race you were or anything like that. Like one of our American values was yes, everybody's here and we're American and we share our values, but we know that whichever name his name may be, he may be different than you, but he goes home and when he talks to his mom, they maybe play a different card game than you play, or watch a different TV special, or listen to a different song, or maybe try or eat their foods that they specifically enjoy. You know, all that kind of stuff. But then it got scary when we started to be too equal, and then they started to like everybody started to take over on one another, and that happened a few times with the Spanish, the Haitians, the Islamics, and the Russians a little bit, and the Africans. All right, and but the same thing goes for even some of our own like inbred Americans. I guess that's what we called them when I was growing up, was inbred, right? But I never understood what that meant. Was I never understood the term inbred because hey, they say, and I even know, like I'm a percentage of it, like an inbred kind of person. And I never understood what inbred is. But did you know that inbreeding is a good thing? Like I'm supposed to inbreed, I think, because that mixing has got me balding. I think I'm balding on the top of my head because my family mixed a certain way or what have you. I'm not sure, you know. Yeah, I there's times when I have the bald hair. Well, I call it, what do I call it? I've had the military fade. I went down to the Florida, United States. I wish this was a movie on video because that's what it was with my eyes. When I went down to Florida, my dad took me to the barber shop, had me get a classic American fade. I remember that. But then they started hanging out with these ones big time, and I was even down there. They're like, I said, aren't you teamed up with like Canada and all that? And then like they were like, no, fuck Canada. We're like these people. And then they a lot of them got killed and all that. And it's like been nothing but mass shootings and military deaths and all that. And then they get mad and then they threaten their own allies instead of going and killing their enemies, the ones that they were smoking drugs with. That's what they did back in Vietnam. They did the same shit they did in Vietnam, everyone. It's a famous thing in the Vietnam War. They were smoking drugs and all that. See, in Canada, if you want to go get some drugs, you can just go buy it. But in America, it's so regulated, it's hard to get it. So then when they go out to Vietnam, they're supposed to be killing Vietnams or whatever. They started doing the drugs and whatnot. So then they get more in tune with the earth, which is a good thing because then they realize the Vietnamese are just people like we are people. Next thing you know, they're having the Vietnamese food munchies. But this was a very long time ago, and we moved on from this time. Like, so, but believe it or not, there's still people alive, and then they had kids that followed their dad's perspective of this Vietnam War, of the same ones that we thought were supposed to have learned and moved on and been more, and they start the war again. Even though China is my supplier of my motorcycle and of my of my, who the fuck cares if the Chinese have Chinese massage? I have massage every day. There goes. If you need massage, why you don't have massage? Because there's a rule in men. It's like we're not supposed to get really to that point where it's the ultimate massage. But we have ultimate massage. But that's the thing. Some guys are going for the ultimate massage. That's why Canada, we've been what they call peacekeepers. It's all just, we don't care. You can bicker on and bicker off. But it's supposed to be peaceful because at the end of your bicker, I guarantee you're going to learn your lesson. And I said that before. It's like when you walk out your front door, you know the reality of it. You could get hit by a truck because you just got to watch the way you move and the way you act. I mean, when I first got my e-scooter, I thought it was going to be so easy until I actually stood on it. And it's very dangerous. And you got to really be very, very, very careful on this e-scooter. But when you see the e-scooter on the computer, you think you just can get up and go on it. But it took a lot of adjusting to do to actually go on the scooter. And we were so strong of a nation that we had a lot of time as kids to do our simulators. And basically how it is, it's like if you want all your family to be able to chill out in America and be like that, well, you was supposed to get in your suit, go over there and kill off the enemies. And then you wasn't supposed to have this cigarette or nothing until you got back home and sat on your porch, dummy. And that's why you lost that. And that's why you're dealing with all that shit. So until you got a couple battalions, like the one that went out and killed Osuma or whatever the fuck his name was, until you got somebody that went out like that, you're going to be dealing with those issues. But generally, we just, this one's a deja vu. We're just sort of, I'm much like this man. I thought it said product, but it says project, working on projects. Marijuana, that's so old now. We're working on new things. The system's already been built for the marijuana and all that. Now it's not about marijuana. I learned a lot about prostitution. That was something I wanted to learn about. And, well, I learned that it's not even generally called prostitution anymore, Tommy. That's just the way men and women go along, is what I learned about prostitution. Because when I was a kid, for some reason, I was like, prostitution is like, I didn't understand it. It was like, you don't understand that, hey, taking a girl out on a date, it's the same thing almost all the way around. Except the prostitutes are a little more manly smart, whereas the little girls are like little children, poopy pants and all that. And then the women, but then you have ones that don't call themselves prostitutes and they're just like women in the city. But a lot of those women in the town that have been there and all that, they're just wasting your time. They're like these loner tomboy ones. And you'll never ever have a kid with that one or whatever. And they're just sort of like, they're the ones that always like want to talk to you when you're going to the store, and then like they just wasted your time for 10 years, and then you're like, who the fuck is this bitch? So it's not that one. But then you got ones like this that you can actually call upon and say like, hey, I want to have a sexual interaction, I'm willing to pay money. And that's their job or whatever, I guess. It's not really their job. They're just a woman out in society, and hey, they want to have sex too. But they charge you money for it, because that's, I got to know the reality of how much work is done to be in the position to service somebody sexually like a man. You got to be clean. You got to not only just clean on the outside, but you got to be kind of in the, you're almost like in this, yeah, you got to be like there's a whole process to the inside, you know. There's a whole process to the inside or whatever. There's there's a whole process to the insides of them too. Like, don't waste their time. That's what I did when I was a kid. I didn't, well, that's the whole thing about being a man. That's why the grown man, when he rolls up or whatever, he says the right thing and you get in or whatever and you guys drive off and everything's clean and you know that time. But it takes some men time to understand it. Some men learn from the wrong man. Some are unfortunate and they never make it to find out. I never had two girls. That scared me to have two girls at once. I've only had a couple dates. Uh, I wanted to change the perspective on the prostitution. I thought making a website and all that would probably be the smartest thing, but it still isn't because there's a lot of exploitation to do with it. I like just the natural female to male. It's an economy, even when it's not prostitution. Even when you're dealing like I didn't understand it. Like even when you're dealing with a girlfriend and a boyfriend and the families, it's sort of like a business deal. It's sort of a business deal. It's like a welcome to the family business deal. It's like, what do you have to provide to dad and mom? You're going to take care of the woman, and she's agreeing that you're going to take care of her, and that you guys are going to be more than well. And it's sort of all of a deal. And here's sort of a, I don't necessarily like that look, but I mean, look at the kid. He's pretty immature. The way he's looking at the alcohol, but okay, and this one's a funny photo because this guy's immature and he's getting his drink out of it, whereas she looks like she shouldn't have nothing to drink. I mean, look at her skin. I mean, she should be drinking water, but she's having wine, you know. And then the kid is like, he looks like he's had enough to drink, but he's like, hey, I'm here with the woman. But your kids hate that fucking look, I swear to God. Because you shouldn't be looking like a weirdo, worried, imbecile person that's in everyone's way. You should be going to get hydrated. Why are you not drinking water? Like you are like your skin, like you can tell you are dying of alcohol intoxication, ma'am, because of the way you are looking. Here's a good family. And yeah, and you got really good families. And it's unfortunate. I've seen on YouTube that, rest in peace, there was this one really good family I would consider. Like, look at this woman here. You know, this one looks, I met a family like that too. I really wish we would have gone off. You know, I learned a lot growing up. But hey, I'm one of these mans, believe it or not, now. And they just, some of them won't believe it. They can't believe it and all that. But Tom works so hard for all my women out there. I'm like this guy. I can put all the food on the table. Okay? Now we're waiting for everybody's parents to pass away if they can't understand that. But if you ever knew me or whatever, I'm that man. I put food on the table like big time. It makes some die and cry and yada yada. But yeah, and then you learn. But it's not all about food. That's what you're going to eat with your family when you have your children and beforehand. And here's the rose, you know, where you the rose is used. It's sort of like the first thing that you purchase to showcase that you actually do love, and or not love, but that you care enough to try to give that person a gift like a rose or what have you. It costs a good amount of money, you know, for a rose. That you thought about them, you know, you weren't scared to say that you did think that they were attractive or something. Like, there's the rose. Like I went out and thought about you and bought it. I was attracted to you and I gave you the rose and all that. You know, and then it's her duty or what have you, or even guys and whatever. Well, it's not their duty. It's not a duty. It's like, but You don't want it to be on one of those days where it feels like it's a duty. It's on one of those days when it's a gift, when they weren't expecting a beautiful rose, you know? It has a smell to it, or that you guys were getting to be friends and whatnot and whatever. You guys were getting to be friends and all that, and then you went out and you bought the rose and all that for her. But usually it's for somebody that you actually talk to and all that and all that. It's not for somebody that you just, well, say you wave at the same person. This would be a good one. You walk to the store all the time and you see a girl and you wave at her all every day when you go to work or go to school. And like every day, like she's dedicated, like you see her all the time. But okay, you see her for I don't know, if you don't see her anymore, then it wasn't the girl that deserved the rose. The girl that deserved the rose is like you guys were both going to school at the same time, like or whatever, or work, and you guys were in the same position mentally, well, not physically, rather, but just mentally and all that, and then and then by the time you figured it out that hey, this girl really cares about you, that's when you go buy the rose, and that's when she actually gets the rose. You know, because there's a lot of girls with disabilities that, well, they say the complete opposite to me. Really, it's a sexual thing with the man, whereas the woman needs the money and all that sometimes and all that, and the security and yada yada. But no, that's illegal or what have you, because it's not like that. But anyways, it's stop ruining my video for a minute. What I'm saying is, yeah, you got all different women. You think it has something to do with women? I mean, yeah, money or something. So you do that, but that's how you end up. This, ones like that, they end up like a depressed person at an old age, and they never had kids, they never had nothing. So then you tortured them, and it was all a slavery thing, and that's illegal. Because everybody wanted to go out and enjoy a small bowl of quinoa. It's like quinoa. That's what we eat for fucking lunch or whatever. But there's all different activities that you can do. It's not just about gifts and items and stuff. You have all different fun activities that she can do. Or whoever keeps making me mad, that's the guy that needs to get it for sure.